Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Bobby Bryant. I'm the CEO and founder of hōmhub. You know what? I just got through making a post on LinkedIn and was talking about uh, comprehensive problems require a comprehensive solution. Well, what does that mean? I think when we look at real estate, and I believe that the problem we've had historically when it comes to this so-called disruption of real estate and tearing down the status quo, right? Is that um, I don't know if a lot of people realize that this is a multifaceted problem. You know, uh, when we talk about the real estate industry being formalized back in 1908, I really don't know if these guys were geniuses or fools, but what they've built is so fragmented, is so layered to the point to where historically, I think that a lot of people over the last 10, 20 years who uh, call themselves attempting to crack the foundation and provide a solution to this resilient industry uh, really don't give it enough credit with what they built and how they built it. Um, there's so many things to consider. Uh, we're talking about layers of issues that someone has to understand about this industry. I personally believe that is very difficult for somebody who uh, wasn't a practitioner, who wasn't somewhat close to somebody who or somebodies that understand the intricacies, that the bureaucracy that governs this industry. It's so much more than creating some fancy website that targets real estate agents, that targets pricing, that um, targets these things, these isolated problems. These problems are just one of many. We're talking about an industry, um, the way it's structured, the way it's set up from the National Association of Realtors, and I'm talking about the United States, right? But you're talking about layers of problems from the National Association of Realtors to the local MLSs, who, by the way, who follow the governance of the national associations, but yet at their level, right? There's almost 600 of them in the United States, throughout the United States, that has to adhere, but at the same time has some autonomy, right? What we do in the state of Texas and throughout, we have like over 80 associations just in the state, right? Then you start talking about other states and how they do things, um, um, because what happens and takes place in their region. Um, and then after the MLS, then you have the brokers, right? Who then push down their belief system. I mean, we can't look at all what 100,000, approximately 100,000 different brokerages in the United States throughout who believe what they believe. They believe what they believe about the industry. They created a company to facilitate, mobilize that belief system. Um, EXP believes things different from Keller Williams. Matter of fact, the guys of EXP broke out of Keller Williams and called themselves creating what they believe a different way of doing things. Remax believes differently. When you look at all of these companies, um, um, they operate within the matrix, if you will, starting at the National Association of Realtors, going down to the MLS, coming to them, and then they push that belief system down on the agents. And that's just that category, which is very, very thought provoking, very cumbersome, very um, uh, I could think of a million adjectives. Then we come over here and we have the consumer. Then we think about those guys and gals. And think about all of the generations that operate within that. Baby boomers who own 2/3 of all the properties in the United States. Then you have my generation, the Gen Xers, gray beard. You got the Gen Xers who are kind of like this category of people who are like, on one side you got millennials, because the, the the internet was commercialized in 1994 and I was young enough. Matter of fact, my first child was born in 94. So we're talking about 30, 31 years ago, right? So you got Gen Xers that are like right in the middle of millennials and boomers. So you got the work ethic, the drive, right? And my Gen Xers and people, we know what we're talking about here, being caught in the middle of these two generations. Um, um, and then you have millennials, right? Who is this group who was the first that was, um, at a young age introduced to technology, right? They function different. I remember holding seminars. I had one at the biggest stage in the real estate industry where I had a conversation about millennials. Everybody was just mind blown about millennials. How do they work? The largest uh, 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 group of educated consumers, because most of them went to college. They're different. They're different in a work environment. They think different. They're tech native. They're diverse, the most diverse generation in the history of mankind at that time, right? Then you push that because now you're still dealing with young millennials. You still got the young millennials that are like late 20s right now. When we start talking about all of this, we have to understand all of these factors. So you got young millennials that aren't even 30 yet, right? I think the oldest millennial maybe 28-ish, something like that. And then after them, you have Gen Z that is now entering the housing market, right? Don't view purchasing the way we do. They maybe can't afford it according to, student loans, same thing. Now you got another generation that's just as big as millennials. And then this generation is truly tech native, meaning they were born and tech has been here their whole entire lives. This generation are the COVID babies who spent a year at home due to COVID. And think about how that shapes them. The generation who saw parents working from home, right? And now after them, you have Alpha. So it's always interesting to me when I hear people say, yeah, no, AI will never get rid of this. They can't do that. It, never happened. And I'm like, you're saying that based on the current generation. Do you understand these kids and how they shop and what they want? Have you asked them those questions? There are elementary schools in the United States right now that are piloting no school teachers. They're being taught by AI. The teacher is AI. Trust me, I used to be a school teacher. I have 2 master's degrees in education before I turned 30 years old. And so you have a situation now where kids are coming up with no teacher, a facilitator, right? And they're all day learning without the human teacher that all of us was used to. Now, imagine how that's going to shape the alpha generation that's pushing up. See, when we look at the real estate industry and this collision of a legacy industry, right, that was created literally 86 years before the internet was founded. 86 years. And now we're sitting here and look at the advancements of technology. Guys, ChatGPT just turned 3 years old at the end of November. Just turned 3 years old. Gemini's not even 3 yet. Think about that. Just look at the advancements. So when we start ideating and creating and we start thinking about, well, how do I take this industry and we evolve it forward? We evolve it forward. And we think of all of these factors, right? We're sitting here with an industry that has been charging the same amount since 1908. Then you fast speed forward to 2024. And of course, before that, we know the DOJ and all this stuff was happening with lawsuits, suing the real estate industry. We had this big old, class action lawsuit that was taking place, and the real estate industry lost. They lost, had to pay out billions of dollars. They start suing brokerages. All these brokerages had to pay tens of millions of dollars because they lost the lawsuit and they participated in this madness, this mayhem. And everybody was led to believe that, okay, great, we just decoupled commissions. Now the seller isn't required to pre-negotiate because the realtor comes in and tells them you have to do 6%, right? Now we don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to do that anymore. Now the listing agent just comes in and negotiate their commission with the seller. And then the buyer now is responsible for paying their own realtor. And with all that, we believe that commissions will finally go down. And then we realize a year later, that law kicked in August 17th. I'm a research guy. I never forget. August 17th, boom, it kicks into play. Okay, 1 month. Okay, no real changes. All right, 3 months, 6 months, no real changes. Then we hit 12 months. Then all of a sudden, right after that, people started doing the data, the research, and they said, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Commissions didn't go down. Actually, they went up. Why is that? Now, I'm not going to give the answer. I have my thoughts. I'm not going to give the answer, but the commissions went up. So exactly all of this stuff, what was it for? What was it for? Now, guess what? The realtor has to actually work more because this is exactly what happened. For all my industry people who don't know this, this is now what happens because I have listings. And so now we take the buyer side commission off the websites. If it's an MLS listing, the MLS, hey, take that off. So no longer do you say what the seller is paying to take it off. It has to be negotiated because commissions have always been negotiable. Shit. Okay, great. So now that happens, right? Now this is what takes place. Bring, bring. Hey, Bobby, how you doing? Hey, how can I help you out? Hey, this is Amy, and I'm calling from Remax. Okay, or whomever, just for an example. Hey, I'm calling from Remax, and I see you got that listing on 1234 Main Street. Yes, I do. Okay, great. Hey, my client is interested in seeing it. Are you paying a buyer agent commission on that listing? You know what? Just submit your offer. That's what I say. So just submit your offer. My client would be willing to entertain all offers. Amy, I understand that, but I'm asking for my client, right? Because they don't have the money to pay my commission, and so we're trying to be mindful about what properties we go look at, and we just need to kind of know in advance if the seller is willing to pay the commission. And I'm like, so guys, I don't even know if that was a smart decision because it's still happening. It's still happening. It's just done different. It's just done differently. So going back to my whole entire point is this real estate industry really has some comprehensive problems, layered, right? Some legacy, generational problems. And it's like you're really over here trying to, every 3 years fix this broken foundation that really at the end of the day, don't stop trying to fix it. Just go over here and start building something better. You got the legacy trying to preserve itself. And I mean, it's fighting to preserve itself. And then you got people that are taking bats, swings. Think about all the prop tech companies that have raised tens of millions of dollars. And the founder, 6 months later has to do this email on LinkedIn. I want to thank everybody who believed in me. I want to thank all the investors. Although we've raised $50 million, the timing, the this, that, and the other, we still failed. Whatever the reason, I am entertained when I watch those. And then, truth be told, when I see them launch, I'm like, that shit's not going to make it. Whole. There's no way. That doesn't even make sense. That's not even scalable. They started that in California. You can't charge that in Alabama. But we're going to go nationwide. We raised $50 million and we're worth $500 million right now. And I'm like, that shit is not going to work at all. People hadn't even thought comprehensively about a solution. They created a solution for their city within their state, one little city and one state in these United States. Guys, this problem in the real estate industry is very comprehensive. And it's going to require a comprehensive solution. And guess what? I think we've created it. I think we've come up with it. And I can't wait to show you guys next month in January 2026. Bobby Bryant, hōmhub. Check it out.
hōmhub.